Welcome back to another fantasy video with me, JD. You're joining me for the round 3 review. It's Tuesday, the day after Easter Monday. So happy Easter for all those that celebrate. And if you don't, well, hopefully you've got a nice long weekend and some chocolate out, which is a pretty good deal if you ask me. It's been an interesting day because we've just got news of a few suspensions, injuries, all that type of stuff, which is going to definitely affect teams this week. You've got Windy, who's out for the week. You've got Wines, who's got a hamstring, and he's listed as out as one, but 1 week hammies don't really seem to exist. You've got Marty Hoare that is now listed as 3 to 4 weeks with a finger injury. And there was talk that Adams potentially returns this week, but he may be suspended in the twos. You've got Darcy potentially back next week, which could affect things as well. So pretty interesting day on the Carnage front, and we will, of course, go through all that. But for the week that I just had, so I scored a 1929, which was just okay. Top 10k round rank and moved me up to 6,600 overall. So positive on last week, which is nice, going up right direction, but definitely not as good of a week as other people have had. And look, the two culprits, if I had to point to them, is Bonner and Gorn. Not having those two alone was a pretty big deal. It's an easy 100 points there. And LDU and Butters in particular, not performing particularly well, hurt as well. We'll go through all the players in a second. And then just in terms of trades last week, I did Sexton and Billings out, which was nice timing in getting Billings out into Powell and Massimo, Powell very happy with. And Massimo, I think he would have made enough cash last week. I don't know if I can actually see it from this screen, given it's in last week's view. But I actually still liked his role despite the poorer score, definitely getting up around stoppages and running up and down the wing. So I think there'll be some more good scores in him. I haven't even looked at his fixture. Pies this week could be fine, and then North in a couple more. So I imagine I hold him until at least then. All right. So in terms of players that I had out, I really was only Whitfield. I know others would have been having Green and Flanders. So honestly, I would have hoped for a bigger rank jump than what I got. But we're going into best 22 this week, which hopefully should see a team that's a little bit more mid-price heavy play out all right. In terms of defense, Sheasel was good. Young, obviously, bounce back game. And Yo, I think, has had a second really good week in a row. Loving that pick. Dacos is the one that I'm still concerned about. It's interesting, right? Because he's had 3 tons over 4 games, right, to start the year. Yeah, and I still feel like he's underperformed by a bit and doesn't look right. Definitely isn't enjoying contact at the moment from other midfielders, and they don't have the big enforcer types on the inside to protect a Dacos. They moved him back in the second half of that game against the Lions, and I hope that's what they persist with. The big concern here is whether or not Finn Mag comes in to tag him this week, and they do have opportunities to bring new people in with Watson and Mitch Lewis out. I think Finn's obviously not a like-for-like replacement with Mitch Lewis, but he could reasonably come in as a Watson replacement. I think the small bit of hope here would be that Butler for the Hawks has been knocking down the doors in the twos as well. I think he kicked 4 on the weekend. So hopefully Butler comes in and Finn Mag either is sub or just doesn't play, which would be ideal. But this is a bit of hope going on here. But yeah, Dacos, still very worried about this pick. I think if I had unlimited trades, he'd be someone I would be moving out. The big miss in defense, I think, really has been Clark, which I did consider in the preseason, but never quite got there on the pick, unfortunately, because he's been really good with... this isn't going to scroll up. My mouse is dying. The 390, high 90s. Yeah, I think as an owner, you'd be slightly frustrated that one of them hasn't ticked over to a ton. It just from a satisfaction sense. But yeah, he's been a really good pick and probably the one that's been missing defense so far. The rookie crisis continues with Howes really being the only playing one, and he put in a poor score on the weekend. The other playing one, of course, is Pink, but he stunted his cash gen with a 20 as well, and it's not like he had big scores before then. 32, 49, 20. So at least he's playing. That's a slow burn on that one. Hopefully he can spike a big score for owners to get some money, but yeah, this is pretty bad. Hoping for Warner, who's now listed as returning from his concussion. If he can get a game this week, that would be good to see. Once again, the mouse is not working. I don't know why it's defaulting to the bottom of this as well rather than the top. Really weird. Shouldn't it not open up to the head when you click on it? So yeah, he was concussed, I think, around 3/4 times. He was on track for a 60, which honestly is very good compared to some of our other rookies at the moment. In the midfield, yeah, so Butters and LDU both underperformed. Really hoping LDU on the Norwood ground this week against the Lions can actually put up a decent score. Should be lots of stoppages, lots of contested ball. So hopefully good signs there, and it should be a positive for Cherry as well. Butters has got Essendon this week, which has actually been surprisingly one of the tougher matchups so far for teams, just given how Essendon's played and who they've played against. Wines out probably helps. I think Horn Francis should return. I haven't actually checked to see if that's the case, but I would anticipate the Horn Francis returning. So maybe net not much of a difference. But yeah, if Wine's not in there, then more Butters and Rosie attention, which, both in terms of getting ball into their hands, but also potentially defensive attention. I don't know who Setterfield goes to because he's really better on the bigger body guys. I don't know if they put him to a Butters. I feel like Butters and Merritt could match up, but Port should be tagging Merritt with Drew, really. So maybe Drew gets a lot of CBAs like we saw last week again. Interested to see this. And they just start Horn Francis and rotate him forward and bring Butters and Rosie up from half forward at times. Yeah, so I don't know, a bit worried about this score still. I thought this Essendon matchup would be a real +1, but I'm not actually sure it is at the moment. And then Freo is looking decent. So it's not really until maybe this Collingwood Saints part of the fixture that he has more softer matchups. Steele, yeah, I said this in my Supercoach video. I still don't understand why this pick is working out as well as it has. And I wasn't sold on it, but I'm glad I listened to people that were big believers because I'm reaping all the rewards with none of the skill in identifying why this pick is working out well, other than he's fitter and healthier than he was last year. I guess it also helps now that Crouch is out. Zach Jones, who wasn't really there, but he's back, but kind of underdone. Effectively, there's no other mids apart from Steele. So just all the opportunity in one place is, that's what you're ultimately hunting when we look at CBAs and position change and all that stuff, just opportunity. And he's got more opportunity and he's fitter. So keep riding this pick out. And once again, I think he's on a smaller ground this week as well against, is he the other Norwood game? I think he might be. So yes, small Norwood game. I think that makes him a captain option against the Tigers. Nick Martin, my boy, big preseason pump up of him. Said he could be D2 behind Dacos. I don't know if Dacos is going to be D1 at this rate. He probably still will be. But yeah, definitely showing it a couple rounds in. I'd actually be interested to see how he compares to some of the other defenders. I think Sheasel must have him covered, but there can't be too many others that have that big of a average, which then puts him into Ryan. Yes, but he's got a larger average than Ryan now, so this puts him into Whitfield. Does Whitfield have him covered? Yeah. No, Whitfield's half a point behind or something like that. So really, it's she's a 1, Martin 2, Whitfield 3, and then Dacos is well down behind some of these other guys. But yeah, Martin does have a good chance of being a top 6 defender. As I could see it playing out at the moment, I think it could be something like Dacos, Sheasel, Whitfield, Martin as the top 4, and then you're probably looking at a Young, Ryan, Stewart. I don't think Clark will get there, but very good pick for those who have him. Or Nas, I still am a believer in, especially if Bonner gets dropped this week. So yeah, very happy with that pick. He'll be moving back in our defenses once he picks DPP. In the midfield here, so conscious decision to try and field all of these rookies because that's where the good rookies are that can score the points. And we saw it again this week. Outside of Sharp was a little bit disappointing, and Clark here would have been a small points boost to my team just looking at the best 18. I think maybe 16 points or something like that in the end. Or yeah, something like that. This has been good for me so far. Ooh, so you're getting a bit of the old dog barking in the background there. Can hear dinner being prepared in the background and she's getting started. I feel like every fantasy video I record, she's interrupting at the moment. So, Bella Lovers in the chat. But yeah, Roberts, obviously great rookie. And I think the good thing here is Roberts and McCurch are both going to get DPP into defense at some point. So if we need to move on, Mass, Williams, Yo types, they can always go back there. And Sanders it's close at the moment, but he currently is eligible for forward status as well. And that would be huge because as he continues to grow into that role, he could even be a F6 for us for a lot of the year. In the only one in the defense, midfield it's worth talking about is Bonner. So painful not having him, just given how big fluky of a score this was. He got a lot of use, but also a lot of turnovers, not particularly good use. So you had 17 turnovers from 32 touches, and as I posted on Twitter, Ross was pretty critical of them blasting the ball forward in his press conference, especially in the fourth when he was asking for composure. I think 10 or 11 of those 17 turnovers happened in the second half as well, when they were trying to get better ball use. So I don't know if he gets dropped. I don't think he does, which is basically for owners all you need. His break even should be so low that you just need him to play another week and even score a 60, and you make enough cash to move him on. They might try and go away from using him, I would say. But, maybe they look at dropping him for Sheldon Makers. It'd be really handy as a defensive option who's also been doing a lot of the good offensive stuff. Apparently, he's got a monster boot. And so people were kind of like speculating just getting him to start torping it down Norwood would be pretty fun. Not that Bonner's like a bad kick for distance either. Just those like long kicks to 3-on-1s weren't particularly effective on the weekend, surprisingly. In the rucks here, yes, as I mentioned, no Gorn is the big problem. Grundy has the West Coast matchup this week, and then I'll probably look to move him on before his bye if possible. If a Conway comes in next week or something like that, I could see me trying to pick that up and cover Grundy as well. I just don't think I can go to Gorn because he's then got the bye as well, despite how good he's been. 120 average. Once again, it is not scrolling up for me. It's actually the top of the rucks, which is pretty crazy at the moment. I mean, I think Marshall's the one that I'm somewhat interested in because this fixture looks pretty good here. Briggs, English, Soldo, Cherry, and the Hawks a little bit harder. Darcy and LJ probably be a little bit harder as well. Although Darcy hasn't always been hard. No, it will be hard. Go on, and then BJ before the bye as well. So I like Marshall's run of rucks. I quite like the look of. So he's probably one I'm quite keen for. Not that English necessarily has a bad run, and obviously, Gorn. I don't know. Will he go past him in Price this week with another big score? But he's got the bye, and I think Rob and Big O are potentially tougher matchups. Nank's not, and if they're playing Conway, that should be easy for him. But yeah, he's got BJ before the bye too. Although when does Flynn come back? Maybe in time for. It shouldn't be back for Gorn, but it might be back for Marshall. So anyway, Grundy to Marshall's one that I'm looking at next week, and just go through the buys there. In the forward line here, so Heaney, great captain this week, took that 127, got the 1 point advantage over Mini Monk with his Sheasel 126. Probably should have seen this Nick Martin score, like potentially just given the matchup, but I'm not sure I ever would have actually like looked there over the day cost bounce back that I was hoping for. Powell I already mentioned, very happy with, looks like a top 6 forward, and Fisher's just been okay enough. Obviously concerned with him as well as McKercher and Sheasel all at this smaller Norwood ground where they won't play as much kick to kick. Just having a quick look at the stats, Fisher actually has the least marks of the three of them by 2 or 3 a game, so he's relying less on that kick mark than the other two, which might be a good thing for him this week. If you've got nothing better to do, I don't hate moving him on, to be perfectly honest, but it is what it is. And then Jordan, unfortunately a poorer game this week, but he has West Coast this week, so I'm hoping to get one more big game out of him before considering moving him on. Fife, we're going to see some of these games. The matchup this week's pretty tough. I think his break-even's low enough that I can hold him for one more before considering moving him on, especially just given that I've got other trade-up priorities, I think. I don't know, maybe I'm moving out Fife this week. I actually need to look at my trades. We'll go to that in a second because I've already made them, but I've forgotten what they are. And then Dempsey, absolutely amazing rookie this week. To get a 102 like that, saved my score. It went from 1888 to 1929 just off the back of his 102. With all the best 18 coming in, and so much money made off this one already. I think I traded him last week, didn't I? Was that my round 2 trade? Yeah, it was Lazaro to Dempsey. So that was 50k boost this week alone. I mean, it got off Wines, who's now injured, to Billings. This is a disaster. That's the disaster trade each week following through. Billings to Massimo. Massimo only scored a 60. He's probably going to be dropped or something. He won't be. While my other trade is good each week. So I don't know. One trade good, one trade bad each week. You can decide which one's going to be my good trade and my bad trade once we swap to that. And then Wilson, I think like his job security is probably still okay, but obviously pretty disappointing score. Once again, Essendon surprisingly restrictive. The Tigers matchup this week should be a better one, but on that Norwood ground, maybe not as good because he's running and his ability to get into open space won't be on display there. So yeah, I don't know when we're going to get to see that next. And then after that, the GWS Dogs Port Run doesn't look particularly amazing, but then it frees up against North and Hawk. So I don't know. I feel like he could be a slow burn. We'll just see what happens. Like people like Cadman are probably gonna have to get rid of first once some of their big scores or bigger scores get out of their system and they have a couple of down games. All right, so then moving on to my trades this week, and I'll maybe talk about a few others. What I've looked at doing is obviously getting rid of, or putting all these defender rookies on the bench, not touching them. Oh, okay, I did get rid of Fife. All right, so Fife and Williams out for Thomas and Flanders. The question I've been asked a couple of times and even wondered myself is like, if I had more money, would I go Gallagher over Thomas? And I'm guessing I probably would if I had to look into his stats a little bit more. I know he's got some good junior numbers, and there are some parts of this fixture that look nicer than Harvey Thomas's. But yeah, this 100 in the system, hopefully he can get a couple of easy price rises out of him, even if he doesn't score too well. I'm not putting him anywhere near my field, to be honest. And Sam Flanders, I don't think is a must-have this week. His break-even still high 90, so I don't think he's going to get away from you. But the fact I can do these trades this week, I think I'll just take the opportunity because next week I'm probably, once again, trying to move on Grundy or Jordan just before their bye, depending on how they go. And I'm more confident fielding these two against West Coast over these. Williams, not a must-trade by any means. It's just how it works out with my team. You know, if I could get rid of a Whore or something like that instead, I would, but it just doesn't work out with the cash this week. Okay, so in terms of vice captain, Heaney into Steele is what I would like to do, but I assume that I actually can't, depending on the loopholes. I mean, Marty Hoare is unfortunately not a good loophole this week, and Barnett plays the same time Heaney does, so I'm guessing I'll have to go, like someone before this Swans game. I'm not sure if I'm going to go Steele or Heaney this week. That's tough too, because I think Heaney could have a bit of a field day against the Eagles. Bit of a field day. This feels very safe. I think I've been giving up a lot of marks, and as you can see, Heaney's been taking a lot of marks through the ground. So, yeah, maybe the vice captain goes in one of the games beforehand. Could be like Butters against Essendon. Not sure what other options I've got. But yeah, if I had the loophole, then Heaney into Steele would be, I think, ideal for me this week. All right, so what do you do if you have Windhager? People will be asking about that. I think you got unlucky here because I do think he's a good pick and has the role as the second CBA mid in that side. It was a lower stoppage game against the... who did they play? Sorry, it was against us. Like weird game, that one. So look, it's just a shame you don't have him against Tigers because I think he'd score well against Richmond this week. What you should probably be doing is putting the emergency on someone like Howes, seeing how he scores on that Friday night game against the Crows. And if he puts up like a 65-70, I think you can just hold Windy for the week and not worry about trading him. But if that doesn't work out, you could trade him. I mean, you could look at options like Bramble at 629k. Otherwise, I already mentioned like Clark at 755k, or even Whitfield if you want to go all the way up, who isn't going to shop and search because he's already in my team at 926k. I think all of those are decent options this week. In the midfield, you've got Wines. Let's have a look at his price. 705k. So unfortunately, he hasn't made much money for the year, but at least he hasn't dropped any cash as well. So what do you do with him? Now, once again, they said 1 week, but the role's not there and he's taking up a valuable spot. So I'd probably be moving on from him. I don't think he can go with Bonner just because of the way he's played. It's a really good position, I think, for Bonner owners, and like their ownership somewhat protected because I just don't think you can justify trading him in. So if he manages to keep that role and he's rated internally higher than what we've seen in the games, he's going to keep making more money, easy peasy, and none of us are going to get a jump on. So what do you do with Wines then? To be honest, it depends on your team, but I'd probably use it as an opportunity to restructure. So if you've got too many of these rookie defenders, getting Wines out of your midfield, putting on one of these extra rookie mids, upgrading him to one of the targets we talked about makes sense, or moving him to a Flanders makes sense, or a Heaney if you don't have him. Those all make sense to me as options. So that's what I'd be looking to do with Wines. If you were running a shallower mid anyway and Wines there, I think you could probably look at some of these other guys like Crouch is still somewhat cheap at 817. You could pick up Nick Martin if you don't have him. Like, yeah, I haven't looked at the midfield options as much. Oh, Miller coming off the buy, 900k, I think is a decent buy. I don't even hate necessarily Dunkley as an option. I know he hasn't been particularly good, 110 average so far. But yeah, North matchup this week, and once again Norwood ground, so it should be a little bit of a hug fest with him and LDU. So I don't mind Dunkley as an option either if you're looking for someone a little bit more premium. I wouldn't be chasing these guys at 107, 105 mil. This is just too expensive. Even Merit, like these are all too expensive for me. I'd be looking 900k and below. Typically, I think Dunkley's maybe the one exception just because he's got the potential to be right up the top at the pointy end and be a captain option. Yep. I think those are probably the ones I'd be thinking about. I'm trying to. Is there anyone else in here that actually is worth looking at? Nope. Once again, my scroll wheel not working. For Hoare, if you're a Hoare owner like me, what do you do? He's 3 to 4 weeks away, which is round 7 potentially he comes back against the Tigers. It's like, I mean, one of those games is going to be a bye anyway. So look, I'm gonna hold on to him for now, just because there's no like rookies that I really want to trade into. Like, you got Draper, who's been okay, but it's probably more a super coach pick than a fantasy pick. As I mentioned, you've got Warner, or otherwise it's Schoenmaker. Oh, Ari. If he gets a debut at some point, I'd probably consider trading him down just to free up the money. But yeah, I think it's just going to sit dead for a little while until I can do something about it. There's really no other good options, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. I assume there's going to be some questions like, I didn't get Powell, is it too late? Nope, I think Powell is still a great target. And once again, like if you're trading at ones, you don't have Powell, very easy swap for me. Is it too late to get Dempsey is a little bit of a harder question. I actually haven't done the what is he priced at calculation. I need to do that for Bolter, because I'm pretty sure I don't have him in Bolter. I need to figure out if I can bring him in this week. That is the one that I think is a little bit harder. For me, he's an on-field option, especially with these next 3 matchups in Dogs, North, Lions. I think it gets a little bit harder after that with Carlton, D's, and Port. But yeah, these next 3, I'm pretty confident he can be an on-field option, and I'd rather have him there than pretty much any other forward rookie at the moment. So yeah, a good option for mine. And I'm happy. Originally, I was trying to leave a Fife or something like that there and have no rookies on either defense or the forward line. But I think Dempsey I'm okay with. And my weakest rookie spot is actually probably Sharp, especially into the Blues and Port during the next 2. I want to probably hold him just because I think against West Coast, Bulldogs and Richmond, he can kickstart his cash generation, but these next 2 weeks are going to be pretty hard, and I don't really want him on field. I just don't have any other better option, so that is one that I would like to move off of. I just don't see how I do. I think that's it. Oh, the only other rookie that, apart from Thomas and Gallagher that we talked about, I assume Karmas isn't as good as in this. No, not really. Even though he'll get DPP. McAuliffe for the Tigers could get a call off. I think he had something like 30 touches and 8 tackles on the weekend. So that's one to look out for as a potential downgrade target as well. All right, I think that's everything from me. Team update done. It's going slowly in the right direction, but really need these LDU butter bounce back games, especially LDU given he's quite a pod. Gone and Bonner to stop killing me would be the prayers this week. And Finn not to come in so Dacos can put up a nice 120, maybe stabilize his cash gen and not let others get him as cheap as they can. That would be please. And then no more injuries to our rookies, thank you. We also need some new ones to start debuting soon, otherwise we're not going to have anyone to start cycling these players out to. But as always, hit me up with your questions, comments, and if you see better trades, please let me know below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy Gather Round, and I'll speak to you next week. Peace.